Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education making. Man, I just woke up, an hour ago. Haven't had coffee or anything. Anyways, this is DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is pre-market prep on Friday, January 24th. Good morning to you all. I've got a little bit of, some vitamin emergency here. And yeah, I am excited to go over the charts. I wanted to actually put out a video yesterday, but I was pretty tired from work. And rather than recording that and then putting it out, I thought I would do it, live this morning. So there are two stocks that I'm really excited about that I think did form bottoms yesterday and or might be bouncing. So I'm really excited about those. And then there are a few others that, the unusual whales data, the options data look pretty interesting. So I wanted to go over that and then follow up with, the unusual whales data from the stocks I normally cover in the weekly options video. But first, I am going to go over this S&P 500 or the SPX, the the VIX, as well as Bitcoin. So let's get into it. I'm just going to have another sip of this though. All right, so S&P 500 or SPX here does look like we hit a new all-time high yesterday. And actually, looking like a pretty nice big move yesterday, going up over 0.5%, closing the day at $6,118.71. And of course, there is no after hours or pre-market trading with the SPX. But yeah, I mean, we could see that the high yesterday was, 2 cents above where it closed at. So that's a pretty nice, strong close. Closed above the prior all-time high, which actually was eclipsed on the 22nd. We hit a high then of $6,181, whereas the previous high was $6,099.97. So looking pretty good there. But of course, I do think it could be retesting that level right around $6,100. Not really too far off from where it's currently at. Could also be coming back to retest this downtrend or maybe even filling this gap here at $6,051.51. Could even be going lower, but we'll just take it one day at a time. And so I'm curious, if it does not pull back to any of these levels, where might it go to the upside? And so one thing that I can do, just looking at the daily chart here, are there any tops that stand out? And there are some here that look like we could form an uptrend to suggest where resistance might be, and that might even intersect with the top over here. So let's take a look at that. I'm actually going to use the ray tool so we get an exact kind of level here. And yeah, so that is something right there, which, I'd probably feel better about going like that. So there's like a little bit of a fake out break above it here, test here and there. And yeah, that's just a little bit more conservative than if I were to bump it up to here. Did also get rejected from it here. So that line, it does make sense. And then if I do, just out of curiosity, if I move this over to here, that seems like it's a little too aggressive. I don't know. So I'm probably just going to leave it over here. And let's see, maybe though, I want to move it to the high from this day. And let's see over here. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I might move it actually over to there. Lock that in place. And let's see, I want to make it a little bit thicker of a line, and maybe I'll make it yellow. That is some caution line for us to be looking at. And so where would that be suggesting price could go? Perhaps up to around $6,400, $300 higher. So that is something exciting to be considering. And we can also, let's see, how do I want to draw this? I'm thinking I'll just do, let's see, I should probably do a Fibonacci retracement going from the high here down to the low here, And let's just get an idea of some levels that it could be going to. Let's see. Probably I want to put the 1618 here and maybe the 2618 to get an idea about those. This is for levels to the upside. So yeah, let's just have a look at that. And so, the 1618 is right around $6,300, and that, would potentially be in line with that uptrending level. So, yeah, I mean, I think that possibility of getting to 6,300 up to 6,400 makes sense to me. But of course, we could be seeing a pullback. I think getting up to 6,600 at the 2618, I think that's a little ambitious. So yeah, I mean, I am excited about this closing at a new all-time high for the SPX. So that's looking good. But let's take a look over at the SPY. This is the Spider S&P 500 ETF. This does include pre-market as well as after-hours trading. So we can get a little bit more out of this one. And it does look like it is down by about 60 cents or so in the pre-market, which would translate to the SPX by about $6 down. So still, above or right around that 6,100 level. Here that translates to $609 and about 75 cents, or in the pre-market right around $609.14. But yeah, I mean, really just like the same kind of idea that we could draw an uptrend from these tops. And so I'll just do that real quick here, though, not being too aggressive with it, or too nitpicky, I guess I should say. And so I'll just make that thick and yellow again. So, it's a kind of an approximate match with the, let's see, SPX. But yeah, with this, we do have, maybe I want to delete that doodle. We do have the gap here. Is that the same? Yep, that's the same how I drew here. I actually drew that a little bit high on the SPX. It looks like that was drawn from the high. It should have been drawn from the close, 6,049.24. Man, okay, 6,074. Wait, that's sorry. The close on this day, 49.24. See, I'm just going to adjust that here. So it's 6,049.24. And so that is the level to be paying attention to, or right around 6,050, give or take. All right, and so over here, let's see, the close on the 21st was $603.05. So let's get a horizontal line there. Looks like it's off just a little bit. It's based on the high. I need to adjust that to be the close, which is just a 1 cent difference. So that's marked there. We're going to make that a dash line so we know it's an unfilled gap. And I'm going to color it blue because I like to make gaps blue. So, yeah, I mean, coming down to $603, maybe just right around $600, or this red line here at $597, possibly testing this downtrend. So, lots to be keeping in mind with this. The prior all-time high, which was broken on the 22nd, hitting a high on that day of $607.82. The prior all-time high was $607.03. So maybe we retest that, just coming down, about $2 from the pre-market pricing. And let's see on the 10-minute time frame. So yesterday at the end of day, we did get this nice little green boost here going up about, let's see, for this candle, about 0.27% or $1.63 in the last, like 10 to 20 minutes. I guess it's really like half an hour of the, I guess that'd be the last 20 minutes of trading or so, and then just holding those gains, pulling back a little bit as we do see. But, not looking too bad, but I would think that we will at least pull back to be retesting $607.03, but, might just be going to 607, maybe a little bit lower, retesting that level, and then either continuing higher or continuing lower. So do keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm going to switch back over to the daily and just check out the VIX real quick. This does look like, it's perhaps forming a bottom right around $15. Got this prior level here at 1446, which was a prior low following this big move up. And VIX is, of course, the volatility index, does not have pre-market or after-hours trading, and effectively is just for trading options that include ticking timestamps, expiration dates for those contracts. So I personally don't like to trade the VIX, but I do like to keep an eye on it, because it does have some nice moves to the upside periodically. Really, like every month or so, it goes up for about 2 weeks and then down for about 2 weeks is what I found, which I do track with the UVIX. I'll take a look at that in just a second. But here, this move, was over 120% to the upside, and that was over the course of 8 trading days. So very nice there. But, how do we find bottoms with this? And so from that bottom, we can actually see this uptrend that, we did find another bottom at previously. And following that, it went up about over 50%, so pretty nice there, but we did, of course, break below that uptrending level of support. Maybe $14.50, $15 is going to be acting as support, so we'll have to see. Quite volatile times with the new president, Trump, also, kind of like using volatility for making, his negotiations, all of that. So I think that the VIX, while it was pretty good under Biden with these 2-week cycles, we are definitely in a regime shift, new leadership, new cabinet members, new, government. So I think that, we kind of have to learn the new ways of the VIX. And so the way that I like to follow it is, of course, by following ticker symbol UVIX, or the UVIX, which is the 2x long volatility index, or VIX futures ETF. And so this does include pre-market and after-hours trading. You can also trade the ETF directly rather than having to do options. So I like that, and the moves do seem to be pretty similar to the VIX. And I feel like we could be forming a bottom here right around current price of 27.66. Did have this line here drawn at 27.78, thinking that 28 might be a bottom, but always good to be prepared for some volatility, whether that's to the upside or downside. And so I think that this could be coming down to 25. So personally, I did accumulate a few, shares, nothing too crazy. As you know, I am a small fish. Just of the UVIX, so I got, I guess, less than $100 on it. So maybe by the end of the day, maybe I want to get another one. But I'm going to think about that. Just to have $100 on it, and then maybe that goes up 10%, 20%, whatever. Maybe it goes up to test this parallel downtrend, parallel lines here. But, like I said, it could be coming down to 25, so I want to be ready for that. And it doesn't always, move from the bottom of the channel to the top like it did over here when that was an over 100% move with the VIX. It was about an 82% move here with the volatility index. So while this is 2x, long VIX futures, it doesn't always give the same kind of moves that the VIX does, but this was over 11 trading days versus 8. And let's see, we got this other move here. This was, about over 40% move to the upside, so pretty similar to the VIX there. But, this moved from the bottom to the top here, and this didn't quite get to the bottom, and it came up to around the middle of that channel, a little bit higher than that, pulling back now. So good to be seeing where this could be going down to. But, from current level, whether it goes down to 25, whether it, finds the bottom here from, basically yesterday's close approximately to the top of that channel, that's again another 80% move. So I think that, there's a lot of great potential to swing this. And even if it doesn't get up to the top of the channel, if it goes back to around the middle here, I guess where there was a gap that was filled where that blue line is, that's over a 40% move to the upside. And so let's see that, yeah, that was a gap that was over here that was filled. And so I think that I could actually probably put a more relevant line there. Let's see, how do I want to think about this? There is still, you know, a gap up here. I think I'm just going to leave that blue line because I don't really have any clear lines to be drawing here. You know, I could do, you know, top to top there. Let's actually just do that as kind of a curiosity going from the top here. And I'm actually going to do a trend line. Trend lines I tend to be a little bit more casual with. And so this is just kind of, yeah, I mean, I effectively, you know, if we're looking at that level, I am just going to make it a little bit thicker so it's easier to read. I'll make it purple. And so with that, you know, just going from the top over here that was hit on November 20th, intersecting with the top that was recently hit on January 13th, and then basically pulling that over to where it intersects with the blue line at $40.70. You know, there's kind of a confluence of levels now over here, so that's something to be keeping in mind. And let's see, trying to think, Fibonacci. Yeah, I could do a Fibonacci extension going from the top here to the bottom and then up to here. Actually kind of surprised that I didn't do that before because I think that maybe would show some confluence with 25. We'll have to look at that. So pulling up the Fibonacci extension tool, going from this high, I'll have to check to make sure these are to the penny. And yeah, I guess I probably did do this already because that 100% is not showing anything. So let's look at the 786, 2250, the 618. Yeah, I mean, that's really kind of getting into some clutter there, but I think that there's a little bit more to that than you know, this little Fibonacci that I have. So with that being said, I think that this is probably a better level of support around 2673 than 2778, just because that's, you know, like this little micro Fibonacci retracement, whereas this is, you know, a little bit bigger picture, a little bit more macro. So let's consider that. So this goes, let's see, I'm just going to zoom in so I see the tops and bottoms here. 54.60 to the low of 29.40. So just making sure that's correct. And then I got the high from yesterday, which was 42.30. So just making sure that's correct. Yeah, so that's looking good. And so I might make that a little bit thicker just so it stands out. And maybe I'll go with like a peach color. It's kind of ugly, but it's not too aggressive. I feel like yellow is a little too aggressive. So yeah, 27 effectively. I feel like that, you know, if I'm wanting to accumulate more and having some concerns that maybe it's not coming down to 25, maybe 27's the next level to dip by. Yesterday, the low was 27.32, so getting pretty close there. So we'll have to see where this ends up trading today, but let's first look over at the 10-minute time frame so we can see the after hours from yesterday and pre-market trading from today. And so yesterday did come down. Consolidated and then consolidated into the after hours, but then it looks like at the pre-market open for the UVIX, we did get pretty big red candles, 3 of them in a row coming down that first 30 minutes of trading, putting in a nice little wick there, so that could be suggesting a bottom, put in a low of 1731. But then, you know, moving up a little bit and consolidating. So we'll have to see where this goes. But I, you know, still feel like, well, it might be short-lived, you know, but it could be continuing down to 25. I think that this could be coming down to 27 based on that 618 from that Fibonacci extension. But, you know, we are getting to kind of, you know, a 2-week period. So that could be suggesting the bottom's in. We're going to be seeing some more volatility. There is a Fed meeting next week, or at least the announcement of rate cuts or not cuts. So that could be sparking some volatility. And so, yeah, actually, I don't know what I got pulled up over here. But let's look up rate cut schedule. So January. 2024 Fed. So just search that. So the Fed meeting is going to be, it looks like on January 30th to 31st. So let's, Federal Reserve, so this is the federalreserve.gov. So for the calendar, FOMC meeting, that's the, I forget what that stands for, the Federal. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they don't tell you what it means, it doesn't matter. This is scheduled for the 28th and 29th, which I got my calendar on my phone, so just to let us know what days those are. That's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And then it looks like FOMC meeting, statements, January. Oh, this is from 2024. We're in the new year, 2025. So, there's probably going to be some volatility around that. So, I would say that we could be getting some volatility around that. And so with this being, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then kind of a shorter trading week this week, we're getting to around the, 2-week period. So I think that this could be coinciding with a bottom. And so just, I am going to be adjusting this, but let's see. Okay, so this is, one covering 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this would be like the 2-week box. And so I'm going to have that low drawn to 27.32 at this point. Oops, 27.32, and got that high at 42.30. So that's looking good. Going to make this a little more transparent. And I think I was making these, let's see, I just want to make sure I have this drawn with the right shade of red. I actually went a little bit here. Not that it really matters that much. Actually surprised that I did. Yeah, so there we go. And so that's kind of like the bottom cycle. It could take, a few days before it actually does bottom. But yeah, I would expect volatility to spike up around the FOMC. So 25 might actually be off the table. 27 might possibly be a little bit greedy. But yeah, I think some bottoming going on is possible. And I do see a comment here with a question from DP. Bullish on the day for SPX. I went over SPX at the beginning of the video, so I'd recommend checking that out. I think it could go either way. I think that there's some levels in that bit to be checking. But now I'm going to go over Bitcoin. And here, pretty volatile, I think partly because of the news about the, Trump signing the executive order to effectively make America, the U.S., the crypto capital of the world. And so that is going to be based on more regulations or more transparent, more clear regulations. And but that's not for Bitcoin specifically. So I think a lot of people were disappointed about the, let's see, I don't have the 10-minute option down here. So I'll add that. And let's see, I should star it. So it's kind of a default down there. But yeah, there's some volatility yesterday around that announcement because it wasn't Bitcoin specific. But, I think, there are Bitcoin maxis that, of course, Bitcoin is, fundamentally very different than all the other cryptos. It is the digital gold. But, things don't, we walk, we crawl, we don't run right away. And so I think that having crypto regulations is good because it sets a roadmap for the entire industry. And then you start to get into the fine tuning of that. So I think that's good. And also I think that kind of like with the launch of the Trump coin and the Melania coin, I think that that's kind of, an example of, I think that Donald Trump generally has an understanding of the value of Bitcoin. But I think that a lot of people get Bitcoin and crypto confused. And I think that, the launch of Trump was kind of more of an example of Trump just kind of, going in through the onboarding process of crypto, where, like, for me, I was first introduced by Dogecoin, or first got into it because of that. And yeah, so I mean, there could definitely be a lot of value in something like Trump, the official Trump coin. But really, like, I think a good way to think about that is it's like a trading card. It's a collectible. Collectibles definitely a good thing to have, fun thing to have. But as far as the government goes and storing value, similar to how we store gold, we have reserves. I think that there is also, a counter argument for why we would not have a Bitcoin reserve, because it does kind of send signals that the USD is not the reserve currency that Bitcoin actually is. And so I think that sends mixed signals to the world. I don't think that's necessarily that good of a thing. And also, we do have like a USDC, Circle's stablecoin, and Tether, or USDT, stablecoin. And so I think that we already do kind of have that infrastructure that kind of makes networks like Visa, MasterCard superfluous. They're collecting fees, whereas the crypto industry has already established, effectively the US dollar for trading, which is widely used. And I think that right there sends signals that the US dollar is the reserve currency. And I think it's good to really, back more of that rather than CBDC, a centrally government, I forget what it stands for, CBDC. Let's just Google that. CBDC, we're probably going to be hearing more of this. A central bank digital currency. I didn't even need to read it here, but yeah, so that would be like the Federal Reserve, I believe, would issue it, but then there's concerns that the government could be monitoring what transactions are, saying, what is or is not a good transaction. And so then that gets to kind of like, Orwellian, 1984 concerns. And, we want to be able to spend our money how we want. And so I don't think that a CBDC would be good. And I think that, government needs to, set the rules, regulations. And I think that that is government's role, not in issuing these things, but making sure that the rules are communicated well. But anyways, looking at Bitcoin, here I got it on the 10-minute time frame. Does look like could be putting in a top there, but that could be bullish consolidation. And let's see. I think from the chart guys that I was seeing from, he was a guest on Scott Milker's channel. He was looking at the 12-hour time frame. I unfortunately can't look at that on here, but if we do look at this on the daily, maybe, draw some lines over here. And actually, if I'm looking at that, if I'm looking into something so technical, I probably actually want to look at this in TradingView, because Webull has, I think, the East Coast closing times and stuff. So I would keep that in mind, for the levels over here. But this does look like, move up consolidation. That looks like a bull flag. So, and I think that at this point, yesterday, yeah, we were going down to like 103, 102. It's kind of like that is the new 92 that we saw over here, this purple line. So I think that, 100, we might not be revisiting that and breaking higher soon. But yeah, let's look over at TradingView to get an idea there. And let's see. Bitcoin. Oh man, my voice is, I need to take a sip of water here in a second. So look in this, this is 15-minute time frame. Let's look at this on the daily. And so yeah, from this, yeah, because I feel like this wick that we saw on January 20th, that was the inauguration day, I feel like that is, not a top to really be considered too seriously, because, it did eclipse the prior all-time high, but we didn't really get, anything notable above that, just a wick above and then close below. But we did get some closes above that level over here. So I think that's, an interesting place to be considering. So just drawing, an approximate trend line going to that close over here. And so I got so much white on here. I'm not as familiar with using TradingView But let's just see. I want to make that level. I've got too much orange here. Bitcoin, I'll make that. That light blue is too similar to that green. I like purple, so I'm going to make it purple. And so I should make that a little bit thicker, though. 4, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I think that level is pretty important. The close on that day was at a price of 106, 159.26. So let's just say 106. I think that's going to be an important level. If we see closes, daily closes above 106, I think that could be showing some signs that this downtrend is then potentially going to be acting as support. So that's what I would be looking for. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand how you can't be bullish on Bitcoin, at least long term, although, do consider this could be in kind of a longer term consolidating channel or bull flag. Really, like the longer we spend in this channel, the more likely it is to go to the upside. And kind of the measurement that I have for the upside move is based on this Fibonacci extension here at the dashed orange line, pull back to here. And that would be suggesting a 100% move going up to around 200,000. So it looks like the low over here was around 50,000. The high over here was around 108. And I'm actually surprised. It's like 60. The low over here being around 90,000. And that, yeah, this is on the log scale. So that's why it's not linear, because that would then put it at, 150. But considering that, oops, I don't want to do that all the way. Let's see where the kite is. That's around 150. So I think it's good to kind of have, not get overly extended with expectations, thinking this could be going up to 200,000. I think that this could be finding a good amount of resistance around 150. And if I do switch over to the regular scale here, so not the log scale, to the linear, we can see that the 100% extension there is around 150,000, just above that kite. So I think that a top for Bitcoin this year will be found between 150 and 200,000. Not exactly sure where that will be, but I'm expecting it to go higher. But for me personally, I am not thinking about swinging Bitcoin. I'm swinging, some of the altcoins, but for Bitcoin, I view it as retirement. But we do have, levels corresponding with around 150, the 618 and 65% extension from that Fibonacci right around there. That's the golden pocket. And then we also have the 786. That's around 166. And that does look like it has this other, 786 from a previous extension, I believe. And that's at 167. So yeah, I mean, that seems like a good level to be keeping in mind. So I am looking forward to that. But anyways, let's get back to the charts over here. There's some stocks that I'm actually really excited to be going over. Wanted to go over some unusual whales data as well. And also, DP, I don't know if you're still here. And sorry if I didn't, go over the SPX just when you asked. I'm trying to get better at being more disciplined and just focusing on the agenda. Usually I start with the VIX, so sorry if it threw you off that I started with the S&P 500. But yeah, with this, it's really just generally, I don't know if it's going higher or lower. I would think, in all honesty, that at some point it will be pulling back to fill this gap, $6,050. For me, I don't trade the SPX or the S&P 500. For me, I feel like they're too slow moving. So making an assessment on what it's going to do over the course of a day, I have no idea. But I do think that perhaps a week from now, perhaps corresponding with the FOMC, it could be coming down to around 6,000. And could even be coming down to this downtrend. I feel like that's pretty feasible. So good, like short-term plans, I don't really know. Long-term, I think it could be coming down to 5,900. I think it could be going up to around 6,300. So no idea what's going to be happening today, though. But I think that this close above that level is a good sign. It's a good signal. But we could be seeing a pullback, so it's like people see, it closed at new all-time highs. Maybe it closes the week at new all-time highs, makes headlines in the legacy media, social media, whatever. gets people's attentions. Boomers then start thinking, and sorry if you're a boomer, not trying to pass judgment or anything, but boomers that are not as in tune with what's going on in the markets on a daily basis might see, the stock market's at an all-time highs, it's just going to keep going higher, but then they get rugged. So good to be keeping that in mind. And so I've got just on the list here, I'm going to actually. I'm not going to go in alphabetical order. I'm going to go in the order that I have listed here. First, I wanted to go over GameStop because, I think that this is pretty clear. It looks like it may, that's vague wording. I think it looks pretty clear that there's a bottom here. We got this nice Dragonfly Doji here, bottom on the 21st, day after inauguration. That just looks really nice. Didn't quite come down to my level of 26.15. I think I actually had an order. Dang it. I removed it because I don't think it's going to get filled. At 26.26, what was the low on the 21st? 26.33. I just missed it. But it was only to get one more share, so no big deal. My average is lower than 26. So I would have been raising my average, i.e., increasing my risk. So I'm fine with that. I actually removed that because there's some stuff on the list here that I'm excited to go over. Not being GameStop, but I don't necessarily want to be getting my average up. So anyways, I'm rambling a bunch about this. Clearly I'm excited, but it does look like, following this bottoming signal, perhaps we put in a topping signal yesterday with the wick up to a high of $29.26, closing at $28.33. So that's, potentially looking pretty good. If we do look over at the 10-minute time frame, does look like, pulled back towards the end. This is kind of a crazy chart to be seeing yesterday, going up over the course of the day and then just got pounded at the end of the day. And I would not be surprised if the chart looks similar to this, for today, for Friday, because Max Pain options expiration. Retail might want to float this up over the course of the day, but then market makers, whatnot, are going to want to drive the price lower because of that Max Pain. So what we see here is consolidation in the after hours. Got a little bit of a bump up, kind of like pent up energy from retail wanting to buy here, placing orders overnight, whatnot. And, gap up, still consolidating, but a little bit higher. So looking good in that sense. But, I would take this all with a grain of salt, because if we do look over here at the Max Pain, so this is from Unusual Whales. Now, this is for today. The Max Pain is $28, so we're right around there. So I would not be surprised if this maybe floats up to 29 or so today, getting retail thinking, it's going to above 30. And then last hour or so of trading gets slammed down and brought to below Max Pain. So I'd be cautious of that. I'd keep that in mind. And we did, of course, get a tweet from Roaring Kitty a couple days ago, so I will pull that up. Let's see, this is the thumbnail that I made. But yeah, let's go over to just Roaring Kitty over here. And so he did, of course, have this post, which, quite possible this is associated with Unity Software. I do feel like, he's not a one-trick pony. He's, of course, I think, bullish on GameStop. But, you don't even have to think about that. Roaring Kitty is synonymous with GameStop, but he's going to have other plays going on. And I think that Unity Software, also with them being related to GameStop in the sense that they, are a software company. They do work on games, things like that. And so it would make sense to me. I think it's a deep value play. Also makes sense for DFV to be in that. And there was, but anyway, so that's, an association with GameStop, possibly Unity Software. But yeah, let's see. What did I want to look at? I wanted to look at the Unusual Whales data from this. So this is the overview. So this is from the 23rd. This stood out to me because, we see stock price in yellow going up yesterday on the 23rd, then pulling back a little bit. And with that, we see net call premium going up and then consolidating here. So not pulling back as price came down. Whereas with the net put premium, that actually came down, so that sold off, so that's good. So we got a net call premium increase of more than $4 million. So that's really good. And a net put premium drawdown of nearly $600,000. So that's also good. So that's in the favor of the bulls. And if we look at the bear bull slider here just above my head, that does look like it is more in the favor of the bulls, but it's just over 50%. So it's a little bit, neutral, but just looking at the data here, $4 million going long on GameStop and over $500,000 coming out of going short. So I think that's looking good. And then I did also just want to consider the contract that I have been accumulating. I only have 2 of them, so nothing too crazy, but did want to see how the open interest changed between, yesterday into today. And it looks like the open interest went up by about 14 contracts. And so that was, from the volume yesterday, 144, 14 of those were bought and held. And the average was around, $158, $1.58. And so we'll have to see where this takes us today. I think that we could, like I said, be seeing a pullback because of that max pain being around $28. So do keep that in mind. Do be cautious. And then the next one is also one I just wanted to go over some data on. The 2 after this, I'm really excited about those. But yeah, Marathon Digital. I was talking about potentially having some resistance here with this purple uptrend. Does look like it's putting in a little bit of a topping signal with these wicks here. You can see just above where the cursor is, getting above that, not being able to close above. And actually, the highest closes were, here. So that's potentially not looking so good. But what is looking good is this is an up move consolidation, potentially a bull flag. And what we can do is a Fibonacci extension going from that low up to this high, down to this low to get an idea of some levels. And the 100% will be getting up to around 23, 24. And so I am actually going to remove the other levels there just because I don't think they're as significant. The 618 there, that is around 2150, but I already have that purple line there corresponding with that, so I don't think I really need to have the chart over cluttered with those levels. So I'm just going to do the 100% there, and I'll make that a little bit thicker, and I'll just leave it white, because I'm lazy. I'm fine with that. And that's 23, 24. So let's see if we can get a move up there and then find this purple line as support. So what I would like to see, I guess, is, a move like this, then a rejection, consolidation, and then, a move higher. Let's see how this arrow looks. That's actually not a bad looking arrow. Sometimes they look super ugly. So that's what I would like to see. So we'll see what happens. Of course, that would take place over the next week. But I think that that's kind of a reasonable expectation to have. And let's see the pre-market. It does look like it's up about 1.5%. Kind of similar to what happened with GameStop, not being too crazy in the after hours yesterday, then kind of a gap up. I think really just like retail placing orders overnight, maybe watching some YouTube video or doing their analysis after work, thinking, oh yeah, I'm bullish on Mara. I'm going to place some buy orders. Once pre-market opens, then those buy orders, boom, goes up, consolidates. We'll have to see what happens as the market opens. And so, the reason why I wanted to look at Mara, and actually before I do that, just pause, right around $20 a share with this being Friday, options expiration, I feel like $20 is probably going to be the max pain, but let's look over that here. So I've got GameStop in. Oops, I don't want to saying what I'm typing what I'm saying. I want to be looking up Mara. And so we see the max pain is actually 1950. So we are currently above that, but I could see there being some efforts to push this down. Let's see how this performed yesterday. Up moves and then consolidation. So this actually seems like, it was holding those gains. And so pretty nice move there. But yeah, let's see. Does this close? I would like to see it close today above 20. That would be nice in my view. But then let's look over at, let's see, just the general view here. Let's look at Mara. This might be blank. Oh, no, it still has the day from yesterday, the 23rd. This is looking good. Just like GameStop, we see the stock price in yellow, that going up and then kind of consolidating, but not really being up too strong over the course of the day. But we do see net call premium in green, going up and staying up over the course of the day. Whereas net put premium in red came down, sold off initially, and stayed down. And so what we see is an increase of net call premium of over $2 million, where we see a drawdown, a sell-off of net put premium coming down over $1 million. Both of those things are bullish. Calls going up, puts going down. That's bullish. And we also see the volume here in green, that going up, suggesting that more calls or more contracts are being bought. In this case, I would interpret that as more calls are being bought as puts are being sold off. So that is a net increase in volume. And if we do look over at the bear bull slider just above my head, it does look like it's more in favor of the bulls at 49%, but that's just right around the middle. So this is still somewhat neutral, but I am feeling good about this long term. For the course of the year, I did have a contract that was a little bit shorter dated, but I did switch over to this one, which expires January 16th of next year. And that is the $50 call. And so what we saw yesterday was an increase of 237 contracts. Volume traded yesterday was over 1,000, so a little less than a quarter of that went into holding these contracts long. Over 19,000 open interest right now. So, I'm just keeping an eye on that. My average for this one is $2.50. I just got one contract. We'll, add if it goes lower than $2.50. But since, I established that position, which I guess would have been back here on the 16th, it, has not really revisited $2.50. So I'm sitting pretty in the green, but I have expectations or hopes that this will be getting into $7.50, maybe $10 range this year. So I'm feeling good about that. But then the next one on the list is ChargePoint. I'm super excited about this one. I was going to draw the levels on this last night after I got off work, but I thought I'd do it as a video or do it live. And so I'm going to do it live here this morning, just so you guys can kind of see my thought process with it. And I have to say, I'm kind of at the point, I do have a ChargePoint position. It is fairly large, and for me, that means I have more than $1,000 on it. The value of it now, though, is probably around $1,000. I think maybe I put $3,000 into it. I'm not really sure. But anyways, numbers, that's maybe a big number for you or maybe a small number for you. For me, I feel like this is too speculative for me to have that amount of money on it, at least for the way that I manage stuff. So I'm a little bit concerned about this being now below $1 a share. Yesterday, it came down 4.5%. Closing at 94 cents, 94.26 cents, coming up a little bit in the pre-market. It's about 96 cents. But yeah, I had drawn this channel that we had been consolidating in over here, broke above it, kind of consolidated around it, hung out above it some more, and then now we're back into it. But I'm wondering, is that even significant? I think it was over here, but looking back in time, I don't think it's really that significant. And so I don't want to be, I was looking at this yesterday and thinking, oh, well, it's come down, but it's not at the base of this channel, so I don't want to be adding too aggressively. But I don't think that channel's significant anymore. I think that we kind of invalidated it over here. So I'm going to remove that channel, clean up the chart a little bit. I do think that these levels are potentially important, so I will be keeping them up here, 108, and then this was the low of 105. Actually, I don't really know that those, really it's just like $1. $1 is pretty significant at this point. But yeah, I should probably leave those levels, just making sure they're, easy to see, and I'm going to make probably both of them light blue. Actually, maybe since I'm making two of those levels, I don't want to, it gets a little bit tough on the eyes. I'm just going to make those lines a little bit thinner. And so we can see there's kind of a confluence right around $1. And let's see these other levels that I've drawn up here. This one, I don't know how significant that is anymore. This top over here, I don't think it's really that significant. This was actually a trend line. So that's actually kind of interesting. This, I don't think that's happening anymore, so I'm going to delete it. No OPM there. This orange line, I think it was important, But actually, yeah, I mean, because we've got this red line, orange line, and maybe what I want to do is maybe kind of color code these so it goes in this progression. I think red is going to be, maybe I want to, yeah, I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe red there. This one is orange. And then this one is yellow. So we kind of have this progression. I think that this level here around 126 trend line, that's going to be some resistance. But really, I mean, we got to get up to these blue levels. And actually, I don't know if I like that color scheme that I did. I might instead make this one. Sorry for wasting your time here. But, you know, it's nice to be having these. Oh, crap. No, this is red. I want to make that red. So it's really like kind of this progression. Light blue, I think that's going to be important. But then, you know, going up to here. Maybe I'll make those green because I did want to adjust, you know, draw a downtrend here. And so I'm going to actually do this blind, drawing it from over here and see if it intersects with where we tested yesterday. And I think it will. And so I'm going to draw this based on the close from September 9th and then connect this to the close from November 13th, which was at a price of 110. And then over here, the closing price was 128. So just keeping that in mind, 128, 110. So that looks good. I'm going to make this line pretty thick because I think this is significant. I'm going to make it purple because I like that color. Okay, and now let's see, did we intersect with that line? I think the answer is going to be yes. Oh my gosh, you know, I think that's super, super cool. How can you not think that's super cool? So yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to assess, like, is this a bottom? Do I want to try to get my average down? Do I want to try to accumulate the calls the call that I have, which is a 250 strike expiring in, I think, May, which I don't think we're going to be closing in that. But if we get a bounce, I could be exiting GTFO that contract. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to think, do I want to go heavier into my shares? Do I want to go heavier into this call? You can see it. I'm excited about this. I drew that blind, and that just looks beautiful. And so with that being said, I think that we could be getting a move up to around 126 here. You know, as far as stock price, yeah, personally, I don't have that much on the side, so I need to be strategizing how I approach this. But yeah, I think this looks good. But let's look over at some options data to get an idea of this. Also, let's look at the Max Pain, just so I don't forget to do this. Charge point, typing that in here. Scroll to the bottom, it's $1. Not really too surprised by that. Looking at the daily data here, charge point. Let's see. Stock price, you know, came down. And then moved up a little bit, kind of flat on the day. But of course, that was kind of from a gap down. So we do have a gap up here. We do have net call premium decreasing, coming down $40,000. Net put premium coming down $32,000. So in that sense, that's bullish, but net call premium came down more. So that's more bearish and also kind of sold off towards the end of the day. So that's this volume looks a little bit fishy, not too much volume, but then being slammed at the end of the day. Kind of reminds me of how GameStop floated up, went up over the course of the day, but then slammed down. And so we do look at the bear bull slider that looks like majority bearish at 39%, but really, you know, it's kind of 50-50 generally with that neutral zone there. So yeah, but this is also, you know, a dollar stock, a sub-dollar stock. I don't think that there's going to be that much unusual whales options data for us to be taking. Got to take it all with a grain of salt. But if we do look at the data from yesterday for this contract that I have been accumulating, this is the May 16th expiration. So about, is that 4 months from now? So yeah, we got February, March, April, May. Yep. Subtract January from it, so 4 months. That's a $2.50 strike. And so we can see that it did go up by 26 contracts. Might not seem like a lot, but this isn't like a too, you know, aggressively traded contract. Never goes, you know, really over 100 volume. And so 39 contracts traded yesterday. 26 of those were buying. So it went from 36 or less than 3,600 open interest to over 3,600 open interest. So that's good. And so the low yesterday was 2 cents. The high was 4. I think my break even is around 8 cents. So yeah, I feel like it would probably a good idea rather than to aggressively buy shares to get my average down. I feel like it would probably be a better idea to more aggressively buy this contract to get the average down so then I can just exit at like 6 cents if it pops, which, looking at the chart, I think that could be happening. Switching over to the 10-minute time frame, we did, come down yesterday, go up, pull back down, consolidating. Yeah, but I just think that this looks good. And I think from current price, take a measurement, I think that this could be coming up to around 126, 125, let's say. That's a 30% move to the upside. And so for me, I think my average for my shares is around 250. I'm not sure exactly. And I don't think that's going to be happening, but I think that I could be getting out of that contract. So yeah, I think that today's kind of like a move, a time to make the move on that. So I'll have to be considering that in the next 35 minutes before the market opens. But I did want to go over, let's see, 2 more. Another one very similar to this. I might go over my hour in the stream because I'm really excited about Plug Power. Here, closed yesterday on the 23rd at a price of $2.09, being up about 3%. And so you could probably tell, why am I excited about this? We did break this uptrend, so that doesn't look so good, but we did pull back, and I talked about this, and I actually have some shares. My average is right around 220. I was planning on trimming it around a 10% gain to basically get out because I thought this might be happening coming down to this purple downtrend. Order didn't get filled, so that's kind of too bad. But I'm just chilling. But do I want to get in more aggressively? I did pick up a call. I'll go over that. But yeah, I did want to kind of just clean up this chart a little bit. What are levels that stand out as being important? And so let's see. This, I don't think this retracement is important anymore, so I'm going to delete that. And let's see, what do we have over here? This did serve to find the bottom and doesn't clutter the chart, so I'm going to leave that there. This one, also doesn't serve to clutter the chart. Nice bottom there. This gap was filled, so I can delete that blue line. That yellow line, yeah, let's see. I think that is, I can also remove this blue line. This one, it's behind us, so I think I can remove that clutter as well. And I might make this uptrend. Actually, yeah, I'll just leave it as white because I'm leaving it unlocked. It's kind of approximate. And so another thing that I was thinking about doing is maybe doing a Fibonacci extension from the low here to here and then coming up to that high. And so the 100%, we are below it. And so maybe I want to add the 1618, see where that puts us. I don't think we're going that low. I think, yeah, so I'll leave that up there. Actually, no, maybe this is one that I just deleted, actually. So I don't need all of the extra clutter, but that's kind of what you get. You see a down move, a consolidation, that's a bear flag, and that's how you get an approximation of where it could be coming down to. And you could do the exact same for consolidation on the upside, like I did over here. Move up, consolidation, do that Fibonacci extension, gives you an idea of where it could be going from there. So that's where you get this 100% to 319. But now, let's look at this bottom and kind of consider, is there anything there? And so I think I might be able to do just, from the like macro bottom here, 160, that's the 52-week low, and then going up to this high following that, I can do a Fibonacci retracement, so not an extension. So going from that low of 160 up to the high of 332. And let's keep an eye out for where that 786 is going to be. I think that might be an important one. So let's see. Right around where we're currently at, and if we do the 618, that's just clutter, so can keep that off. So yeah, I think that this is kind of like, there's a confluence of levels. Also being around $2, that being a psychological level. Oops, sorry about that bonk. And so Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that the levels here are correct. So I've got the 160 and the 332. So that is good, and I'm going to lock that into place. I think that's a super important level. I'm going to make that thicker and make that light blue. Like to keep my eye on that. And so yeah, $2 being a psychological level, 196. 0.8 being the 786 here, right around $2. So that being, two levels there. And then also this purple downtrend. I had suggested that there was, an inverse head and shoulders pattern here, kind of consolidated around. It kind of took a while to play out. But if I draw, the range here going up straight up to that neckline, we see where that midpoint is. And, then bring that over to here. So, the midpoint corresponding with that neckline, that's the measured move. We did get that. That did play out. So I do think that neckline was significant over here. We're back at that level. So significant. I think that we're in kind of like dip buying territory. I was hoping it was over here, but not quite. And then if I do switch this over to the 10-minute time frame, we can see the price action. This is actually getting a little bit risky for me. I adjusted my limit sell to be a 10% gain to be effectively break even at 222, a little bit above my average. Got very close to it in the pre-market, so maybe I want to remove that. I don't know that I would want to aggressively buy down. Actually, yeah. I mean, I don't know what I want to do with this for myself personally. You do you as always, but I do think that we found a bottom here with plug. Let's look at some options data, see what that has to say. And also let's look at the max pain. I think it's really important to consider with today being Friday. And so I'm going to guess it's around 2. It's exactly 2. So we want to be seeing this close above 2. And I think that we could be in gamma squeeze territory with plug power. To be honest, you're going to hear a little bit of a beep noise, but I don't want my limit sell to get filled at, a small profit because I think that we're going to be in gamma squeeze territory here. So I don't like to do this when I'm streaming, but I am going to cancel my sell order with this. You heard that? That is, I am no longer trying to get out of my very small plug power position because I think that we're going to be launching. I think that we could be going back to 3 because we hit this technical level. Oh man, I'm actually super, super excited about this. We hit this technical level. 3 levels coincide there. $2 psychological, 786 just below 2, which we tested, hitting a low of 198, effectively getting to that 786 at right around 197. And this purple neckline came back to it. 3 levels. Oh my gosh. Also, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red days. Got a 7 count. I don't know if that's significant. And we got a green day. I think that we could be ready to launch, getting back up to 3 massive moves here, about 50% move to the upside. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Let's look at some of the unusual whales data here. So plug power. This here. We do see the stock price, went up over the course of the day, but that was, of course, being at the lows here. So, but with that, the yellow going up a little bit. We do see net call premium going up in green. Net put premium went down, but then ended the day a little bit positive. And so we can see here, net call premium went up by 60K. Net put premium went up by 1.67K. Not huge numbers, but this is also a $2 stock, so it's not going to have millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars traded on it. We do see that volume increased for the day, and that's because there was a net increase in call and put premium, with the majority of that being on the call side. So while the net increase in puts is bearish, it's only like less than $2,000, so who cares? Net call premium is over 60K, so that is more bullish. So this is looking good. And this here, we do see that the slider, the bear bull slider, is more on the bullish side. So that's looking good, but it's about 50%, so kind of neutral. Looking up the contract, this is one that I actually do hold. I did pick up a contract, I believe, at 37 cents here on, let's see, was that Monday? Yeah, after inauguration, or actually the 20th was Martin Luther King Day. also inauguration day. So on the 21st, I picked up a 37-cent contract here, or the premium at 37 cents. Just got one, nothing too crazy. Was in the red the past couple days. But I think that this is going to be going a lot higher. We have been seeing increases in of this contract. Hundreds of contracts traded. Yesterday, only 89 traded, but we got an increase of about 45. I think this is looking super good. I'm really excited about Plug Power. If you can't tell, I don't think that the options data necessarily supports it. But I think that the stock price coming down to this technical level, oh my gosh, I think this is looking really good. But I'm going over 5 minutes. I did want to also mention QuantumScape because, this is one that I don't have a contract in. I do have some shares, want to get in on the contract, but I think I might actually cancel the buy that I placed last night. Because I don't think the unusual whales data, the options data necessarily supports that this is a bottom. And, I'm a little bit more excited about, exiting my charge point call and making some money on Plug. So I'm excited about those. But yeah, QuantumScape, potentially, forming a bottom. I just mentioned the, the 7 count with Plug Power. So let's count these red candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 count, green candle. Coming back to, what is this level I have here at $4.99? That goes back to the low over here. I don't know if that's significant or anything, but $5 being a psychological level, hitting a low of $4.97 yesterday. And yeah, so I think that this does look like could be bottoming. I do have this downtrend drawn, though. That's kind of, a little bit, not precise. So if I do connect it to, actually, now I don't need to make it precise. I don't need to waste time doing that because, we haven't, necessarily intersected with it. But I do think that this could be turning around. Maybe what's a better idea is drawing a trend line to the upside. So I'm going to do it from the close here and just go in like that. Let's see, I'll just make this. Got lots of light blue there, confluence of those levels. And so, yeah, I think that looks like this could be forming a bottom. But unfortunately, I don't think that the unusual whales data necessarily supports that this is a bottom. So we'll have to look at that in just a second. I did want to look over the 10-minute time frame. Consolidated over the course of the day and got a pump up towards the end of the day, which is kind of different than what we saw in GameStop and the others that I went over. Consolidation here in the after hours and pre-market. So looking good in that sense. Looks like a bull flag on the 10-minute time scale. But let's look over at the Max Pain here for QS QuantumScape. And be around $5, not too surprising there. Let's look over at the data here, QuantumScape. This actually, is more on the bearish side, in all honesty, the data here. So we do see that the stock price, was flat, and then it went up, as I just talked about. And then we have the net call premium was negative for majority of the day, but not super negative, and then it kind of sold off. Selling calls, that's bearish. And then the net put premium was negative over the course of the day, and being kind of flat, but negative, just kind of a slight fade over the course of the day. That's actually bullish. Net put premium coming down. But what we see for yesterday, net call premium came down by over $200,000. That's bearish. Net put premium came down by only $40,000. That's bullish. But net, that's going to be more bearish than bullish. We do see that the volume was positive over the course of the day, so I think that just means that the selling of contracts were probably higher premium, lower volume, so that would factor into the selling and the net put premium coming down. But then there were probably buying of more contracts that were cheaper. And so that's why you get this positive volume, but then it ends up being more or less neutral for the day. If I do look at the bear bull slider behind me, majority on the bear side. So this is actually raises some concern for me. And so, yeah, what I've gone over here, GameStop, of course, excited about Roaring Kitty, Marathon Digital, excited about this for the year. Then let's see, ChargePoint. I feel like this could be, kind of setting up for a 30% move to the upside. And so I'm excited about that. Plug Power. I think that we could be getting a gamma squeeze here, with this just looking super strong, being above $2 and max pain for Plug Power being $2 for the day. I think over the next week or two, Plug Power is going to be ramping up, so I'm stoked about that. I hope you guys are too. But anyways, I'm going to get myself set up for trading for the day. But, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more pre-market preps like this.